Well, I am the rarest mosaic I know because there has never been a time apart from right now that I've taken a selfie. So I run underneath these power lines every so often, and as part of a morning run. And I know that after a really bad storm, you can actually hear these power lines buzz. I wonder if you can hear it right now. Try to listen. There's this really, really tiny buzz that's happening inside the power lines right now. And right after a storm, you can hear it really well. And so I was trying to figure out, why is this happening? Why do the power lines buzz like this? Is it safe? Is it okay? Is it going to strike me with electricity sometime soon? So I did the study behind it, and I was looking into it, and I found out that it goes right along with our study of electricity right now. Remember how I told you earlier that there's electricity going back and forth through these power lines in an alternating current? Because it's coming straight from the power lines, in order to make and save on electricity power, they do an alternating current at 60 hertz. So that means that there's electricity coming back and forth 60 times per second. That crazy fast electricity transfer creates an electromagnetic field right around the wire itself. It's an unintended consequence, but it's a consequence nonetheless. This electromagnetic field that gets generated and is pulsating around each of the wires, around the wires themselves, are actually ionizing the air, which means they're putting electrons in the air and taking electrons out of the air constantly, back and forth, back and forth. That electronic input and output is actually putting shock waves into the air, or longitudinal waves in the air, at the rate of 120 waves per second, which is 120 hertz. Now remember, a compression wave or longitudinal wave is a wave we can actually hear. So we can actually hear the sound of the electricity coming in and out of these, or appearing and disappearing around these power lines. And I think it's just fascinating that we actually can hear the electricity in the air, which leads to the question of, well, is it dangerous when I'm underneath it during a storm? Because under a storm, I can hear it much, much better. I found out that underneath this, if you think about it, in a storm, the water around the power lines, water is much more conductive of electricity than air is. It's extremely conductive. That's why you shouldn't put water anywhere near your electronics, because it'll conduct electricity like nobody's business. And if it conducts electricity wrong inside your device, it'll destroy the device. So when we are underneath these power lines, it's creating a much louder buzz because it's making much more ions much more quickly. Now, does that mean it's unsafe? Is it unsafe? Will I die underneath the power lines when it's buzzing like this? And when you hear these power lines buzz, will you die? Well, probably not. The ionization is not enough to actually create a sort of, it's not really enough to really make electricity leave the wire itself and go into the air. This is electricity that's happening outside the wire, and it's not really going to affect the electricity inside the wire. And so it's not like there's not going to be any sort of like shots of electricity through the air anytime soon. But I still think it's really interesting that with all this happening, you can actually say definitively there is electricity in the air and you can hear it. So I think it's really, really cool.